use the camera. I just can't prioritize the expense of a new camera right now. I had lots of first times this year, but I'm just not a believer in the YouTube platform anymore. It's just not what it used to be. It's not an even handed platform where you could find an even footing anymore. It's like the platform prioritizes celebrities and people who spend money. It's just not for people who make indie videos anymore. It's I'm not gonna invest in a platform that censors you, doesn't show your search results, doesn't show your videos in search results. So I have pretty much quit the YouTube platform, and I just keep this going because these videos, my birthday videos, going because I like to document them. Even though I know they will never get any traction, it will be impossible for any of my videos to get any traction because it's just I'm not one of those guys who YouTube would ever want to support. My views are radical. My images, my personal appearance does not fit their criteria, and my background, being a Lebanese, is completely not who they want ever becoming something. But I had lots of first times, like I said, and I realized everyone every day has lots of first times, almost every day. It's nothing big about such a concept of this channel. Everyone has a first times all the time, and just life. We all have first times, but the idea was to document first, or document and expound on first times that were notable. But first, to follow up, now I'm 42. This video is about me turning 42, and just let me make sure the video is running. Okay. So I wanna follow up on my last video of turning 41 and my love interest. Done meeting my stocks, and I wanna discuss my views of current events, which I have a preoccupation with, and I'm not happy with. So my love interests, I was supposed to quit them, and I was successful for 6 months. They were toxic relationships, and which as the definition of toxic relationships goes, you return to them time after time, and that's what happened with me. and yeah, so I lasted 6 months uh, quitting them, and then I returned to them because found an excuse. The neighbor who was my main competition moved out, and so I thought I'll give the toxic relationships another chance. Yeah, and they haven't been going so well. You can imagine as uh, they have been going downhill, but yeah, at least I'm sort of focused on the main girl I truly want. Which yeah, and yeah, that's the positive side. I'm laser focused on that girl. She's the one who uh, I really am after. I'm really in pursuit of, and she was from the beginning. She was the first one I found after the being in a falling in love with someone I shouldn't fall in love with, and yeah, she was a rebound. Revenge, love interest I pursued, and to just prove I could find someone, anyone. I pursued, yeah, just to prove to the previous love interests who had a boyfriend and who was rejected me outwardly, just making the appearance of being virtuous to other people while uh, secretly pursuing me, and yeah, just saw doing what girls usually do, drive men crazy, and yeah, girls give nose to. I know this might be controversial. I guess I won't say this, but yeah, I shouldn't say it. But yeah, so I'll get to that later. But that's where I am with my love interests. I'm in pursuit, but it's, the feelings are just diminishing exponentially, and yeah, what we had, the connections are just deteriorating. It's sad, but I don't, nakedness doesn't interest me anymore. Uh, I like a good-looking girl. No, don't get me wrong. Uh, I watch too much porn, too much. Yeah, I've seen too many naked girls. To be lured. I mean, I still have that as a draw for me. It's still an attraction for me, and that's what I mainly like. What I mainly desire, but it's, that personal connection and it's with one. I can't see myself being with anyone else. It just, I don't have a taste for it. It's nice to dream about it. It's nice to dabble in it. I mean, pretend, just play with the idea. But when it comes to the actual action of getting another, stepping into that door and grabbing another girl for myself, or, and you know, having true contact with another girl. I just don't have a taste for it, and I had an opportunity. I have had plenty of opportunities in the past, and this year I had another one. When that neighbor, my competition, moved out, I had an opportunity to take the girl who was living downstairs, whose boyfriend just left her, and she was very interested in me, and she tried. She gave it. She gave it a shot to try to get me, but I just couldn't. I can't. I just couldn't grab it. I'm only interested in really just one girl. I'm a one girl guy, but I like to think I could have many girls, and I like to play with the idea, and I like to play with girls, thinking I want them. Yeah, but when it comes to the act of actually grabbing them, taking, yeah, uh, uh, the reality of it, doing it literally, I just can't do it. So I just I don't have the taste for it. I can't imagine it. I mean, I can imagine it from a distance, but when to really do it, I just can't. That's the truth about it. So a few firsts. That's there was no first there, but another first is me cutting my hair. First time in 8 years. Uh, I let it grow, and for the most time between those years, until a year ago, I have never washed my head, and I never cut it. I never cut my hair. So I finally shaved my hair, and I was counting the days and seconds till this time, and it's such a relief to get rid of that germ infested hair. It feels so good. It feels good, and I had to literally scrape layers of flakes off my head, and yeah, it was just not savable, and I wanna grow it back again, but this time I'm gonna make sure to take care of it very good. I'm not gonna neglect my hair anymore, make it into a biohazard like the other hair became. Yeah, it's I thought I would feel a bit cold. I mean, really cold chilled after I shave my head, but it's not too bad. It's just a little cool, but not too bad. Yeah, the skin on my head is really thick, and so yeah, it's always been kind of flaky, but it's gives me lots of insulation, and I hope to see some health improvements now that I have shaved my head and got rid of all the who knows what was in my hair out of my vicinity, and so I just did that for my birthday today, this morning, and I don't know, I hoping to feel very good about this. We'll see. And yeah, so before I get to the serious parts, it's really serious. Really irked about it, and yeah, to the little stuff. Yeah, and I wanna get to my love interest, the original love interest, which the only one I had since I was about 12 years old. Between 12 years old and 33, I never had any love interests, but yeah. I played Sega for the first time just 2 weeks ago, and anyone who's familiar with video games, the old consoles, the Sega and Nintendo were the original rivalries. People who played Nintendo never played Sega, and vice versa. And yeah, Sega was kind of for the nerds, and Nintendo was for the cool, tough guys. And yeah, so I found it interesting. A lot of the concepts of new games on the Switch, like Super Mario 3D World, they originated from Sega. They had them back. Sega had these things and games back then, and it's obvious the Nintendo copied them. That's my perception of it, and observation. And yeah, it's different kind of the games on Sega are different kinds of things. They're much more. They create a much deeper environment, a much more detailed environment, and an environment that absorbs you much more. It's much more complicated environment, more dynamic environment, and yeah, I found it very interesting. They could accomplish such a thing in 2D graphics. It, and yeah, on yeah, 2D settings, just just images, pictures, going right and left, that's it, and up and down. No depth whatsoever. And I found it astounding they could perform such a feat. And I'm playing some old games, and on the Nintendo too, and I'm impressed by the amount of work they did on those 2D games to make them feasible. I mean, some of them have a lot of commotion going on, and to get all those pieces together to make it into a game that can be played to the end when so much action is going on is really impressive. And back then I was addicted to Nintendo games, and I didn't perceive that back then, these facts back then, and but I see them clearly right now when I go back to when I play these 2D games. And a lot of manpower were put into these 2D games, and I still I can say they could still catch me. I could still have an addiction to them. Yeah, they can still catch me, and I'm sort of developing some, especially puzzle matching color games, matching patterns, games of those sorts, and those games. The game industry has accomplished lots of impressive things, and just to note that from all the years since the Nintendo to now, and probably even before that, every year, and I was playing this game that's the acronym PIB. It's from 2011. It just cost me $3, and on the Switch, and I played that for weeks, 60 hours. It's a humongous game, and it requires some puzzle solving. It's mostly puzzle game, and I'm sort of have a fondness for it. I developed a fondness, and it's pretty cool that 10 people could have developed that game over the course of only 1 year. That's passion for you. And I'm impressed. It's such a vast game. So much into so much. There's so much in that game, and for 10 people to be able to make that game in 1 year, I mean, that's cool, and that's quite an accomplishment. And kudos to them. just goes to show you the power of good programming, and I know what that is. A good programmer can accomplish just one in really quick time, and yeah, you could yeah, accomplish huge stuff, but yeah, so another, okay, so now to the more serious stuff. So as you know, uh, at the beginning of the year, uh, yeah, Russia invaded Ukraine. Now Ukraine played an important role in my life. The love interest, my love interest, which came to me in 2014, was a refugee from Ukraine, and she, I'm not sure if she's pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian. I never got into that. I was very uninterested, carefree back then. I didn't investigate what the issues of Ukraine were. I was very ignorant, and ignorance is bliss. And yeah, so she moved here into the next room with her boyfriend, and over time, I started having feelings for her. It was involuntary. It's not that I wanted those feelings, but I just couldn't reject them, and I tried fighting them. I gave it my all fighting those feelings. I just saw her so amazing, such a delight, first delightful girl I ever had the privilege of having a contact with, and she just captured my heart, and uh, I tried fighting my feelings for her. Uh, I went kind of bonkers, you could say. I started going to meetups every day, whichever one, to escape her, to escape this room and possible encounters with her. And I took community lessons. You pay a small fee, and also I was dancing mainly. I went to karaoke. I did try to experience everything, except I couldn't get it. The idea was for me to get something else, find someone else, and I I was in pursuit of finding someone else, and I find and I try to make friends with the goal of starting a business, a technology business, and hopefully start making money, make something big, and lots of things happen during that year. For 1 year, between yeah, 2000 about in the years 2014 and 2015. I just let my energy out into the world, and just let the world experience me, and have the world experience. I mean, have me experience the world. It was sort of a mutual benefit sort of thing, and that's why I say I think I'm the cause of the boom that happened in Toronto over the soon afterwards, and so I eventually, after 1 year, um, doing everything, experiencing so much stuff, except, like I say, a girl. I, I, it's not an easy thing to do when you have no money, and you're not physically the target for girls. You don't have the physical characteristics that girls are generally in pursuit of, which is tall, just tall and big. That's all the girls want. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are, how old you are, or what kind of uh, image you have, if you're good looking or not. If you're a monster, that's who girls want. Um, they want power, or they like that power, being overpowered and overpowering someone who is overpowering over others. They like the excitement of that, and that's who the hottest girls go after. So I I tried to I took Zumba classes and yoga classes. Tried to wear um, tights, sweatshirts. Try to look hot, but yeah, nothing seemed to work. Don't get me wrong, I had like 3 close, very close chances, and one time for sure I could have got a girl, but like I said before, I'm a one-man guy. I can't go through it, and so for 1 year I would go to all these events, and while I'm there I would peer into every face I will encounter, and just and every corner, and peer at the distance, and just looking to see if I could find, I would run into the girl I really wanted, the one I was captivated by. Uh, so all that time I would spend looking for her, and uh, it was agony. I would hope I would be in places she would go to. She was where she worked, where she hanged out. I would hope I would be there, and I would go downtown, Toronto downtown, like the real downtown, and then I would. That's where I would go first all the time, and I hoped she would be there, and I would encounter her just by chance. And I think she actually was there. She actually worked in that area. She told me she was a flower girl. Probably she probably worked. I don't know. I don't like the sound of that. I'm pretty sure it was downtown. And yeah, later on, she would. I learned. Yeah, she probably went to Chinatown a lot, where I was too. And so I was pretty close, and my intuition was pretty close. And then I would go to the regional downtown, and there I would look at the building, the really tall building where she stayed with her future sister-in-law, and hope I could spot her from a distance on a balcony, and just lots of places on the subway. I just hope I'll run into her somehow. And the more distant I would go, I felt I was away from her. The possibility of running into her, the more miserable, exponentially miserable I got. And that was the way it was. And then after a year of doing this, I had a near-death experience. I was taking swimming lessons, and I didn't know how to swim, but I started being able to swim a little, and I was swimming one time at the YMCA pool, and it's a really deep pool. I think 16 feet deep, maybe deeper, yeah, 16 feet. And I'm only 5 feet 6, and this pool, yeah, I was swimming at the deep end. I felt I was ready for the deep end, and so I ventured into the deep end, and I don't know, for some reason I lost my ability to swim, and I just started sinking. And one of my father's workers once told me, who became my brother's father-in-law, once told me, if you're ever in trouble, he used to be a diver in Lebanon, expert diver, and he told me, if you ever find yourself drowning, not being able to swim, go to the bottom and then spring yourself to the surface with your feet. So I gave that. I was gonna give that a try, but the pool was just too deep, and I was just floating practically in the middle, just floating, not going anywhere. And I realized that was a bad idea to do. So by that time, I realized it was a bad idea. I was already out of breath, and I had to think of something else. And my decision was to walk to the shallow end, and slowly, at a snail's pace, I went to that shallow end, and literally it was this little finger saved me. This little finger, left finger, my weakest member of my body, saved me. So I was literally 1 second, from drowning, and I was seriously considering just giving up, just swallowing the water and hoping they would revive me somehow. So that was a long time thinking that, and it was my last try at saving myself. It was the last jab, and so I found a footing at the shallow end, and I gave it my all. I sprung as much as I could, and it was extending my hand as much as possible. I was able to grab the edge of the pool with my little finger, left little finger, and that's what saved me. I was just, most of the time, I was just hoping God would just perform a miracle there and then, but he never showed up. He tested me. I consider it was a test, and right from there I had a meeting with my men's support group, great organization called the Mankind Project. Very helpful organization. I read that was another thing I started going to, and I proposed for them to have a vote to kick me out or keep me in the group, because I never went through the initiation, which is a weekend event in a cabin somewhere, and I was voted out, and I shared everything with that group. didn't keep no secrets. That's the kind of group it was. My burning desire for that girl and everything I thought she was going through, my struggles, still coping with her emotional drama and what I felt she was going through, what I thought she was going through, and I shared everything with that group. So I right in that same day after I was voted out, I felt a huge burden off my back, and I, when I came home, I don't know, it just felt good because I got to stay home more and be closer to the, my love and the girl the one I really want to be with, and then it dawned on me. It dawned on me the reality of the situation. I was going out and about looking for what I really wanted, all in the wrong places, while it was right here. Uh, it was it was within hand's reach, and I was just going out in the vast universe looking for what I want. When it was right, exactly where I'm living. So it was right within hand's reach, and she was right available right next to me, and I was just going farther. Yeah, from what I wanted every time I would go somewhere, and I realized all I had to do was just stay in my room to have what I wanted, and she she eventually came to the same revelation too. She was going out at night all the time, and she was sometimes sleeping out, and as the time went by, she realized the same thing, and she became homebound like myself, and we just felt good being close to each other, and that's when we felt the most content, the most fulfilled, the most happy. Nothing else could substitute it. I would have friends. I would go to restaurants with them all the time. I would hang out at night, go to festivals with them. Nothing, nothing equaled what I felt just doing nothing, just staying with her, just feeling her presence. And eventually she found that same truth I did, and she just wanted to stay in her room too. And she used to wait for her boyfriend to leave, and she would come home and stay with me, just to experience my presence. And that's the way it was. But her life yeah, made it impractical for her to be with me. I didn't have much resources, and she depended on her boyfriend and her family. The prospects for her family were all tied to her boyfriend's career pursuits and everything. He he had everything he was developing. He was becoming. He was becoming more prosperous, and uh, they shared a language, an understanding of their culture, everything. So their struggles, they know what struggle they were going through, and yeah, I understood something was going on in Ukraine at that time, but I never bothered to look into it. I just dismissed it as another Muslim insurrection. I thought that was what was going on, and uh, something that's common in the world. Uh, Muslims seem to uh, like to separate and create their own separate countries. So I thought I just dismissed it as that, and I didn't want to bother with it. So I was completely ignorant, and I was in bliss. My ignorance was bliss, but actually, the events that were going on at that time probably saved my life. The events that were on in Ukraine, because once her boyfriend found out what I was doing, that I was pursuing her, yeah, he of course came after me, and because of what I think he saw, how how easy it is to kill a person. There was lots of videos on the internet about that time, and you see people being killed. Uh, yeah, all that violence, being people being beaten to death, and because of what he witnessed, he took it very easy on me, and he's much taller than me, 6'6". She's about 5'3", and he could have easily done me in, and because of what I think he witnessed, I think he had a disgust for all the violence and an aversion to it, developed an aversion to it because of the war in Ukraine. Uh, my life was spared because of it. I, in 2014, 2015, all the trouble was developing at that time in Ukraine, and so when he came after me, he just he didn't strike me or anything. He probably could have done me in with one blow. His hands was huge, and uh, all he did was subdue me, hold me down, and yeah, it wasn't hard for him to do. He, mind you, he was a construction worker, and so that makes him extra strong. And yeah, most of the Ukrainian men, I mean all the Ukrainian men who came to visit them were huge, none below 6'5", and many probably 7 feet or more. So uh, uh, I'm puny compared to them. But so I dismissed what was going on in Ukraine, but after I thought I was the cause of the Russia's invasion because of my comments in the last birthday video when I turned 41 of saying that war isn't the only source of torture in the world. It's not the only source of misery in the world. It could be anything. I mean, people are still being tortured every day simply by not taking care of their health properly, being overworked, not getting enough food. And yeah, I thought that was the trigger that made Putin want to invade Ukraine. But then I looked into it just recently, actually just around Christmas time. I found this a series of videos, a documentary of the events in Ukraine by Vice, called the Russian Roulette. Yeah, that's what the series is called. And Simon something, who was the main reporter, and it's a precious thing he made, documentary. It records a very, very important time of history. I think he made something valuable for mankind for all ages to come. And kudos for him. But yeah, so when I watched that, I couldn't wrap my mind about what was going on, and it was the first time I witnessed someone dying, someone being actually killed by while I was watching that series. It was Russians, pro-Russian, Ukrainian separatists being a pro-Ukrainian to death, and just one kick, some mindless guy just made a swift kick, and that was all it took to kill the pro-Ukrainian, just a reckless kick, and yeah, that guy bothers me so much. Um, just nonchalantly going about after kicking the guy and killing him in the face, just a kick in the nose. It was a kind of a ninja, those ninja touch points where that kill people immediately. He, he uh, hit it, and the guy died, and yeah, it just irks me so much that um, just the way the guy, the perpetrator, just didn't care. They just went out and about, just left like nothing happened, and does he? Yeah, just bothered me that he didn't realize, or he he killed someone, and yeah, how could you just move on with your life? It was a really big guy that he killed, and yeah, he kicked him in the nose, and the guy died. It was a very traumatic thing for me to observe, and it brought me to an existential crisis, and I never witnessed someone dying before. And at first I thought he would get up, but then you see the funeral for the guy who was killed, and yeah, his family crying and everyone around him, and it was during the Crimea invasion, yeah, and well, when the pro-Russians were rebelling, and this was all before Eastern Ukraine started rising up and causing problems. So, uh, so that had a very profound effect on me. And then that wasn't the end of all of the gruesomeness. Then just got worse. Then you start seeing in the same series of videos by Vice, shot Ukrainians. So you only see Ukrainian bodies. You don't see Russians or pro-Russian separatists, and then there was a gruesome scene of the Malaysia crash, airplane passenger airplane crash in Ukraine, Eastern Ukraine, and yeah, it's like something out of an animation. All the bodies stretched and weird contortions, and just looking weird. They look like rubber toys that were ripped apart, just or stretched apart, and yeah, you just get numb to it, numb to the morbidness And yeah, I've never witnessed such things before. So those were first for me. I witnessing dead bodies before and witnessing someone killed. Yeah, it just started becoming a big deal, and you become curious after a while. Uh, makes you realize how our bodies are just kind of containers, and how they could be stretched and ripped apart and contorted in all sort of fashion during violent violent events, explosive events, and so so while I was watching that, I was trying to make sense of what the heck was going on. Uh, yeah, I'm a smart guy. I'd like to think I could figure stuff out. I'm trying to see who's, why this war came to be, and of course, I figured out I had nothing to do with it. That's one thing. My ignorance was cleared, and it was, yeah, yeah. It explained a lot why, yeah, the girl I was in love with was completely, and her boyfriend were completely out there. The world, their world just didn't make any sense anywhere. Nothing made any sense anywhere. Their world was ripped apart. Uh, uh, nothing, just no sense whatsoever. People are being killed left and right, and they're destroying everything. When I watch uh, the, those two, my love and her boyfriend were were just out there, and they had no context of anything anymore. Uh, so uh, so when I seen the videos, uh, you know, people ripping out stones, taking bricks off the streets, breaking windows, doing stuff, burning down buildings. Uh, it just doesn't make any sense. Do they know how much uh, effort it took to make those bricks? How much resources, manpower, uh, time? Do they know what they're doing by destroying that one brick? You know, uh, how much backward they are sending themselves by destroying that single one brick. Uh, how could you make sense of that action? And these are buildings in their own communities, in their own cities, and they think they're accomplishing something by that. Seriously, and they're wasting all this time, effort for what? troubling themselves. I just couldn't understand what was going on. Why? Why? Okay, just for a language. I mean, uh, is it just that out there? Is it far away? A crazy goal? Just a concept, principle? Is it just for the principle of keeping a language, preserving a language in a particular area region? You know, I, I'm, I know what the cause is. I figured it out. I know why they're the separatist, developed. Why people, the general population in that place went practically crazy. It was all pre conditioned. It was all pre-planned. They were groomed for that. They were groomed to do those things. They were all in one mindset, and it was all a plan since the pro-Russian governments in Ukraine took over after the Soviet Union fell. Pro-Putin government, all the resources were directed, Ukraine's wealth was directed to grooming those populations to insurrection. This didn't just rise spontaneously. It was a meticulous plan by Russia to cause this insurrection, and all that talk of I don't want to say the word because I'll probably be censored, the label, the N label, the NAZ label, all that word, all that the casting of judgment, with the casting of labels on the Ukrainians, all that I consider nonsense, and the Ukrainians embracing those I consider nonsense. I don't take it any seriously at all. Who knows what Russia is capable of? What they are? They can formulate, the appearances they can formulate. I think it was all preconceived. I dismiss those as creations of Russia. I put nothing above what Russia can do, and just what that crazy guy in World War II, and I'm talking in figurative language here so I don't get censored, because censoring is a big problem. And yeah, the guy who caused World War II has resurrected, has come back to life, and he has turned the Ukrainians into the targets, just like the targets in World War II. He made them into targets. And yeah, so I forget it. Okay, so forget this censoring stuff. So yeah, so he's turning the Ukrainians into World War II Jews in Germany. That's the way he's demonizing them, and he's pretty much wants one ethnicity. He sees his Russian ethnicity as superior, and it's pretty much a replay of World War II. And to me, the conflict, I don't recognize the pro-Russian, the separatists. When I look at the Ukrainian map, I see the lines of a country. All countries have different ethnicities in them. It's not practical to divide countries by the ethnicities. The whole Western concept is that we have that mankind developed above the unity of ethnicities, the bond our ethnicities give us. We're supposed to rise above that, and that's one reason why I couldn't understand the conflict that developed in Ukraine. The whole idea of the West is that it doesn't matter what ethnicities you are, not doesn't matter what race you are, you could live together, and that's the ideal we are bound by, that we could live in peace no matter the ethnicity, the religion, the sexual orientation. It's the concept of the West is it's possible to live with each other, and that these pro-Russian separatists, they just want to be with Russia because they have they identify with being Russians. They identify their history as Russian, and but we can't recognize that as a valid reason for a cause for war, and for Putin to use it as an excuse to elevate it. He just crossed the line, and to go about a war and the way he has gone about it has crossed the line, and he has crossed the line in so many ways to destabilize the world supply chain, to affect the world economy, has crossed the line to to affect the progress of standard of living worldwide, has crossed the line, and you know, it's a dangerous war. Let's not kid ourselves. I calculated that Russia has spent 60 billion so far executing this war. It's not it's a small amount for Russia. It's 1/6 of the Russia government's budget, and it's only 4% of Russia's GDP, and my calculations are pretty accurate. If you look at Russia's GDP growth, you will see it's -4%, -4.5% per month, and it's pretty accurate, my calculation. And I calculate for during the whole year, Russia has expended 2 tank mortar shells per Russian person. You think that's a practical? It's feasible to? That's a feasible war? Is it feasible? I think not. You think the Russians can afford 2 tank shells per person? I think not. And I'm not saying the war can't go on. It can go on, and it's mainly not because of Russia's ability to perpetuate the war, but because of the support of countries with populations in the billions, namely China and India. And if those countries think they would be in the right perpetuating the war, they could. Consider that maybe the West will not want to buy stuff from there, pay money, so invest in give those countries money, so Putin will have a tank shell to kill a Ukrainian. If some of my money that I used to buy stuff from China with, goes to weaponry that's sent to Ukraine, I'm gonna be much less inclined to buy something from China. And I think the West, and more importantly those people who control the supply chain in the West, will have the same thinking as myself, and will not want to do business with countries who are sending weapons that will kill Ukrainians, and who are supplying weapons that will kill Ukrainians. They will not gonna give money to China or India. So if I, as a person, individual, spend $200 buying stuff from China, maybe, you know, maybe I'm the average person, and it's an average amount, and maybe 10 of us will eventually put enough money in China for China to make a tank shell to give Russia, and that tank shell be used to kill a Ukrainian. So if yeah, that's if that's to say 100 million people, well, maybe it will take 100 of us for China to be able to make enough money to make a tank shell to send to Russia. If that's 100 people, that's and 100 million of us who buy stuff from China, $200 a year worth of stuff. And one tank shell kills one Ukrainian. That's 1 million Ukrainians who get killed indirectly by us, people of the West. And no one is gonna stand for that. So yes, the war can be perpetuated forever, but I don't think we're gonna allow it to be perpetuated forever. We're gonna find ways to stop it. And Russia in no way could produce, no way ever could produce the number of tank shells it is using in Ukraine. It's using about 10 tank shells a second. That's did the calculations. That's like 500 million tank shells it has used, and I'm not crazy. It makes sense, and the only way they could get so many tank shells is if they had China producing them for Russia. So I'm taking a stand on this, and I just got to say, Russia must stop. Putin must leave power, and things must change. The mindset and that part of the world must change. The totalitarians. It's all about the ego of Putin, and preserving his ego, and that's what it's about. It's just totalitarians preserving themselves, and we can't have it, and affecting the economy to such an extent is intolerable, and the West will never stand for it. So I think I said all I want to say. I want to discuss the current events, and for uh, I can't predict what will happen. Uh, uh, I'm still not so invested in it, but it's a preoccupation for me. I'm, I'm still not so invested in it so that I would uh, actively engage people about it. But no doubt, I hope an end to this war comes quickly, and things can stabilize again. But for the stock market has sucked, and I have to admit, I fell into a bubble. I got trapped into a bubble in 2000, during 2020, during the corona virus, when the stock market surged. And I got trapped in a bubble, and classic. I was the classic victim of a bubble, and I didn't. I hope I would have the wherewithal to not get trapped in a bubble, stock market bubble, but I got trapped in a bubble. What can I say? Stock market bubble. I was not smart enough to know it was a bubble. I thought it would never happen to me, but it happened. And and the bubble collapsed, and it still collapsed. It was still collapsing, and maybe the stock market is recovering, but it's too early to see. Yeah, I was hoping to have been rich by now. Clearly, I'm not, as you can tell by the camera I'm still using, and I'm still gonna invest. I don't know. It just you can't tell what to invest in. The opportunities. It's just a shot in the dark. Yeah, it's all about the future, uh, and no one can tell what the future is. Some companies, they're gonna go up 10, 100 times, and most companies are just gonna fail. But you just have to be smart about it, and uh, no, I'm not optimistic like I was before. I want to have hundreds of millions of dollars by now, but I'm still broke. Got nothing. Down 60% actually, and every dollar I have I invest in the stock market, but I don't know if it will ever be enough. I'll be lucky just to have maybe $100,000 if any of my stocks go up a lot, and the ones I'm really betting on. So I'll be happy with that right now. and yeah, that's the situation. But yeah, yeah, things turned weird with crypto collapsing, and just things, dynamics of everything shifted. The reality of everything shifted. I don't get it. It was supposed to be if you had your money in the stock market, it's a protection against inflation, and now it's the opposite. I don't know what the heck is going on. Uh, you know, it's supposed to the stock market is supposed to rise with inflation. That's what I was told all my life, and now it's the reverse. I don't know where I was living. Uh, was I in a dream or something? Just things are weird. Then this Russia war, things are real weird. But uh, 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 it's been a good year. Otherwise, health-wise, very good. First time shaving my hair bald. I only probably done it. I'm not completely uh, on one other time in my life. I never thought it was a healthy thing to shave for real, you know, down to the hair follicle, your hairs, on your head. I never thought it was a smart idea to cut it so much, shave it, and so this is the only second time, and I hope uh, uh, it will be a good for me. Unfortunately, I might have to keep doing it a bit just to clean my head thoroughly. I didn't want to do that, but I realized I have to, and and uh, but health-wise, it's been the best year since I can remember. I discovered something that has added substantially to the quality of my life, and I changed my diet to, yeah, maybe I'll reveal that later. Yeah, maybe I'll reveal that sometime. I changed my diet to something very good, and I found a substance that's very healthy and it's making me very good. A food, superfood. I found that too, and I feel the best ever. I think I have ever felt. Uh, and this winter time, usually I'm slowly dying. So I have been strong and healthy, never got sick, and it's been great. That's what we should be pursuing. Improvement in the quality of living, not uh, dominating each other for what reason, who the heck knows. Uh, that's what was our collective goal was supposed to be, and then Putin upended that and made it all about himself. Uh, the goal is supposed to improve life for everyone, and yeah, he crossed the line big time. So, uh, uh, so yeah, and I can't. I don't know what's the future gonna be. I just hope it's gonna be a good one. And I wanna continue. I have no plans, no nothing, uh, no ideas of prospects with my love interest. It's a complete blank. All I do is play video games and try to improve my mental abilities. And yeah, I hope that will get me somewhere. And that's the course of my life right now. So, so that's it. Here's hoping for a good 42, the best 42.